In the headlines tonight, a major revelation about a backlog of criminal cases to be heard in the law courts. Another show of confidence in the local economy with a major investment by a local bank in Boss Plus bonds. The BWA rushing to fix several burst pipes across the island. And in sports, the Kings trump Jason Holder and Shimron Hetmyer's Royals in the IPL today.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening, I'm Shane Seeley. In our top story at 7, the revelation of more than 380 criminal cases dating back more than 10 years in some cases and still to be heard in the island's law courts. Our Wendy Burt joins us live now with more on this story. Wendy?
Yes, Shane, that revelation prompted a comment from the Attorney General Dale Marshall that criminal justice reform is long overdue. He was speaking at today's symposium on criminal justice in Barbados. The Attorney General is indicating that they have taken other measures to enhance the process, including the increase in the number of High Court criminal judges from 5 to 8.
Despite the increase in the size of the criminal bench, the number of serious matters to be tried remain a serious concern. The statistics of matters awaiting trial received at the end of January from the Office of the DPP are instructive. Murders, 94. Manslaughter, 7. Firearm offenses, 287. Of the murder charges, the oldest relates to a homicide committed in 2007. Of the manslaughter charges, the oldest relates to a homicide committed in 2012. And of the firearms offenses, believe it or not, the oldest relates to a possession offense going back to 2003.
His position is one which Prime Minister Mia Amor Motley, who delivered the feature address to the session at the Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Centre, is in agreement with. She says mission transformation for Barbados cannot come about unless the country is safe, and something has to be done to clean up the court backlog. She told members of the judiciary, police, legal fraternity and stakeholders that nothing should be holding up the system.
You cannot tell me that a court can't meet longer because the reporter can't work past 12. Then come to us and deal with it. And let us make sure that you have both enough CAT reporters, or that they are rotated sufficiently, or we use artificial intelligence. What are the systems? Right now there's a system for us to look at screening for breast cancer that will offset the absence of sufficient radiologists. Nobody should have to rely. I don't know whether a judge writes longhand anymore in the criminal court, but if they do, I hope not. The bottom line is that we live in a real-time world.
The Prime Minister also suggested that some matters could also be dealt with in the Magistrates' Court if their powers are enhanced.
Let us change and enlarge the role of magistrates with their jurisdiction to take some of the pressure off the High Court. Let us make sure that we get these 94 murders and these 297 gun cases off of our books. Judge Birch and Graves, how long you want? You understand? 2 years, 18 months. What will it take to move this backlog off?
Shane, the issue of the rights of the accused were also raised on the sidelines of the symposium by members of the local bar association, who want that coming out of the meeting, priority will be given to the protection of the rights of the accused. Attorney with Michael Lashley and Associates, Faith Graves, is at the center of the matter involving an alleged cell phone in a police interview room. She says these are matters which must not be swept away.
In relation to addressing those issues, it not only would place confidence more so in the investigative process, but it will also place confidence where a person enters into police custody, they will be able to be vulnerable with their attorney, knowing that whatever communication that they have with their attorney is in fact private and not being intercepted by the police.
Ms. Graves, along with the members of the bar, have also taken issue with the fact that the investigation is not independent because police are investigating themselves. They're also concerned about the length of time before information is released on the findings.
I myself have done what I needed to do to cooperate with the investigation in terms of giving a statement, etc. I believe at least by now we should have had some sort of feedback from the Office of the Attorney General, from the Office of the Commissioner of Police, in regards to what their findings were. I do have a concern also in terms of the police investigating themselves. There should be a separate body, or if not a separate body, a separate division within the system to investigate matters of this kind.
Another attorney, Marty Garnes, who practices with Pilgrim and Associates, says while they're privileged to have been included in today's discussions, they often feel like the stepchild. He wants to see special attention paid to the length of time an accused is held. He made reference to some international jurisdictions.
Our Prime Minister, she makes due regard to fostering relations with Ghana, bringing nurses to Barbados, doing all of these things with Ghana. But if we look at the Constitution of Ghana, we will see that in Ghana, the police only have 72 hours to hold a person after arrest. After they arrest that person, they have 72 hours. After that 72 hours gone, they have to then apply to a judge to essentially get a court order to extend that time. And this morning, on our end, we would like to see that there's some sort of constitutional reform put in place to ensure that accused persons right in this country are not infringed, so that we don't have situations where police do not have persons in custody for 14 and 10 days.
He is also not pleased with the treatment meted out to attorneys when they have to see clients at the station. So Shane, that's it from today's symposium and those in the judiciary.
Thank you, Wendy, for that report. A significant investment of $100 million in Boss Plus bonds by a local commercial bank is being described as a major show of confidence in the island's capital market and the wider economy. The assessment from Central Bank Governor Dr. Kevin Greenidge, as CIBC First Caribbean Bank officially acquired the bonds during a formal signing ceremony in the governor's office at the bank this morning. The signing was attended by senior banking officials from both the Central Bank and CIBC First Caribbean International Bank.
Perhaps on your mind is, why are we having a press conference now? The Boss bonds have been around for a while. We had Boss before, now we got Boss Plus. Why this press conference? First off, we thought you can see is quite a significant purchase. $100 million is nothing to shake your finger at. And it signifies the increased level of confidence that is now within the financial sector as it relates to the government of Barbados and Barbados in general, the government of Barbados' fiscal and financial position, economic position. But also, we're using this moment to start or signify to restart our efforts to restart the capital market.
Dr. Greenidge has also revealed that the investment by CIBC First Caribbean has significantly reduced what is left of the initial $200 million bond issuance, with now about $10 million still not yet subscribed. He is urging ordinary Barbadians to also get on board, as the bonds represent a safe investment. Now, the Managing Director for Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean of CIBC First Caribbean, Donna Wellington, says the bank is pleased with the direction the island's economy is going, noting that it was a factor in their decision to make that major investment.
We believe our bank's investment of $100 million in Boss Plus bonds, which we are signing this morning, is a strong commitment to our country, Barbados. We firmly believe, from all of the signs that we are seeing in the Barbados economy, that the Barbados economy is on a trajectory to recovery following the challenges of the past few years. Re-entering the capital markets is a strong vote of confidence in Barbados and its prospects for the future.
One down, several others to go. That's the update from the Barbados Water Authority as its crews have been conducting emergency repairs in response to a series of bursts on its water distribution network. According to the most recent report, residents in parts of St. Peter, St. Andrew and St. James should get some relief soon. The authority has completed repairs on a ruptured main at Hayman St. Peter, and customers connected to this system have been told to expect a gradual return of water in the coming hours. The BWA is investigating the cause of these most recent ruptures. Earlier today, the Director of Engineering, Charles Leslie, revealed to CBC News the bursts were recorded roughly over the last 36 hours across the country, and BWA crews have been responding.
These stretches far north as Pike Corner. This morning we have reports of bursts in the Pike Corner area. Last night we had bursts in the Haymans area coming from our major pumping stations there at Haymans. And in the south of the island we had bursts in Christchurch and St. Philip. And in the central area as well, we had some bursts in areas like Fairview and Glen Acres and St. George. We just want to let the public know that our crews have been deployed and they're out there working assiduously to get these bursts repaired as soon as possible and get the water restored to the customers. So we're asking the customers to bear with us as we repair the bursts that occur on our distribution system.
And there's more to come on improvements to the network on Water Wednesdays later in the news. Well, coming up on Newsnight, we'll tell you about some major help coming for special needs children at schools across the country. Details to this story and others up next. More children with special needs are expected to find places in primary schools come September. This as the Ministry of Education plans to increase the number of schools offering special education programs. The announcement was made by the Deputy Chief Education Officer, Joy Adamson.
In September, we'll be increasing the number of primary schools which will have special educational programs and which will provide additional access for students who require specialist teachers and a smaller teacher-pupil ratio classes. We also plan to embark in teacher sensitivity and awareness training for students with special needs.
Ms. Adamson was speaking during the official launch of Disability Awareness Day, or DAD, My Inclusive School competition, which is being presented by the Barbados Council for the Disabled. During the event, 5 inclusive schools and their ambassadors were presented with monetary donations and other forms of recognition. The 5 schools are the Workman's and St. Matthew's Primary Schools, along with Grantley Adams Memorial, Princess Margaret and Dighton Griffith Secondary Schools. Operations Manager of the Barbados Council for the Disabled, Rosanna Tudor, says the competition is intended to raise awareness among the over 61,000 students from the pre-primary to tertiary levels.
The criteria would require schools to identify 2 DAD ambassadors who will be responsible for developing and working with other students at their school to conceptualize and implement their own initiative, which will demonstrate how their school can be an inclusive educational institution. The ambassadors can be either a student or students or any person affiliated with and approved by the school. Choose a disability and design your school project to accommodate that disability. The
former Minister of Home Affairs and MP for St. James North, Edmund Hinkson, believes interventions now with young Barbadians deemed vulnerable or at risk are critical as the country develops. He says the help, including initiatives such as the Prince's Trust International Team Program, prevents the youth from getting into trouble and facing the criminal justice system.
Because a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. And all of us have a duty to uplift everyone and to make our society a better place in which to live. I really commend the Prince's Trust International, and you would have heard it is an initiative from King Charles, the leader of the head of the British royal family, And if you want to call it part of the reparations that the royal family and England, our former colonial power for hundreds of years, is giving back to us, let us call it that.
The Grantley Adams Memorial School is rising to new heights. Acting Principal Major Andrew Skeet notes the school has seen marked reductions in deviant behavior and improvements in technical, vocational training and academics. He made the revelation during the school's speech day ceremony earlier today. More in this report from our Rianne Phillips.
In total, 515 disciplinary infractions were reported in 2019 compared to 223 in 2022.
That's Acting Principal of Grantley Adams Memorial, Major Andrew Skeet, referring to stats to illustrate the decline in reports of deviant activity at the school. He credits the improvements to several interventions, such as curriculum changes, the introduction of remedial programs, and enhanced subject offerings.
In 2019, the overall percentage pass rate across all awarding bodies was 71.2. or approximately 324 subject passes. In 2022, the overall pass rate was just about the same, but this time with 4 awarding bodies, on average 560 subject passes.
Through the school, scores of students have wet their feet in the world of work, using opportunities to hone their skills through work attachments with 29 businesses. Others have been pitching in to spruce up the school compound.
Our electrical installation students who are still with us installed the conduit for this conduit work, the tubes for the network cabling on the 4th form block, installed conduit work for the security cameras on our livestock housing, installed electrical fittings in our PE room and changed electrical fittings in the laundry, and troubleshooted and repaired plugs in the home economics lab. Experiential learning at GAMS. Learning by doing. In fact, sir, we have maybe a small little maintenance department, nobody made up of schoolboys, right, and girls.
And in her feature address, Senator Patricia Parrish, who is also the CEO of the Barbados Labour Party, reflected on her school days and shared her testimony of overcoming initial disappointments at the then West St. Joseph School.
Yes, I had choices. I could have told myself, well, you failed anyway. You did not get to one of the other schools with your friends. Just drift along until your years at this school comes to an end. As I became more and more comfortable in my new school environment while making new friends, I chose the path and type of friends who wanted to be successful. As students of Grantley Adams Memorial School, like me, you are going to have obstacles along the way.
Encouraging the current crop of students to embody elements of school pride, Senator Parrish challenged students to soar, especially in the face of criticism.
You are going to be told you are not good enough. If these words are ever said to you, never believe or own them, nor should you live up to or do anything to demonstrate to the person that told you so to prove them right, prove them wrong. God made you and He made them, and you can be the best that you want to be.
As it was the school's first speech day since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, hundreds of students were recognized for their performances in academics, sports, and extracurricular activities. Rianne Phillips, CBC News.
Sports Night is brought to you by Powerade. Feel the power. And Desani Water. Connect mind and body.
Time for sports now. Let's go over to Damien Best.
Well, the 2023 Esther Maynard Icon Award recipient has been announced. In a ceremony held recently at the BOA headquarters in Wilde, 3 local female stalwarts of their sport were nominated for the annual award championed by the Barbados Olympic Association's Women in Sport Commission. The nominees were Yaima Payne from wrestling, June Rutter of track and field, and Marlene Hall from netball.
But my honor this evening is to present the award to our winner this year, none other than Mrs. June Rudder.
Rudder, who has dedicated over 40 years to track and field, was of course pleased to be recognized for her work.
I want to thank those people who have helped me along this journey to achieve my goal. My immediate family, my extended family, my track and field family, with the many, many volunteers who have made it possible for me to achieve those dreams that I've had with respect to developing that sport. With my work colleagues at Spring Memorial School who have supported me as we tried to get the girls to dream the impossible dream, and generally to everybody who has helped me to get this far.
Leading the business report, we hear that the future of business in Barbados has been strengthened. Regional Bank, CIBC First Caribbean International Bank, and the University of the West Indies inked a Memorandum of Understanding, Keeping Alive an initiative started 20 years ago. Director of Corporate Communications, Deborah Johnson, told the business report about the signing of the document.
We are actually the largest single donor of scholarships to the UWI. And things like curriculum development, the development of the first suites at the Cave Hill campus. We have supported case study programs and a number of other programs. The SEED business plan competition, we are the sponsor.
The bank official says corporate Barbados and wider society stands to benefit from the relationship between the bank and the university.
The various areas of cooperation have really been beneficial to both sides, both partners in the MOU. And for example, the scholarships, we are particularly pleased at the quality of students that the UWI has put forward to the recipients of these scholarships. We have our talent and development team. They work with the UWI on preparing students for the world of work through workshops.
Senior advisor to the Director General of the International Labour Organization, Ambassador Chad Blackman, remains hopeful that projections for global unemployment can be reversed. The ILO's employment and social outlook suggests the current global economic slowdown is likely to force more workers to accept lower quality, poorly paid jobs, which lack job security and social protection. It also projects global employment growth will be only 1% in 2023, less than half the level recorded back in 2022. Global unemployment is slated to rise slightly in 2023 by around 3 million to 208 million. Ambassador Blackman told Morning Barbados that government and the private sector have a role to play.
I can tell you, based on some figures that I've seen recently, the Caribbean region, and of course Barbados in that, despite the major dislocations going on because of the global reality, is doing pretty well. And the governments in the region must be commended for that. Now, as it goes back to the point I made earlier, and I really want to reinforce this one, is that you have to now look to see what is the policy space that governments have within it. Because remember, we're also talking about countries that are small, open economies. So the policy options are not necessarily going to be as larger countries who, for example, have their own currencies that we all trade in the world, to high levels of reserves that they can tap into.
Okay, let's go back over to Damien for the second half in sports. A lot of football coming up.
Yeah, definitely, Shane. The season continues. Ellerton Football Club and UWI Blackbirds had contrasting results to maintain their mid-table status when the 2023 Premier League season continued last night. Playing at the BFA headquarters in Wildy, Ellerton and St Andrew Lions pulled out a thrilling 3-all draw to move to 8 points, while the Lions remain second from bottom of the standings on 3 points with 3 draws and 3 defeats. In the night's other fixture, UWI Blackbirds are now 7th after securing their second win of the season. Tuesday night at the Turf, BFA Premier League 2023, UWI Blackbirds in yellow battling Notre Dame. Skip ahead to the 44th minute now. Zico Hetmyer standing over a free kick. Absolutely perfect placement. 1-1 then at the break. Second half business, switch of ends. This left a lot of question marks about the Dames' defense. How do you even give Jaron Otherson free passage into the 18-yard box, and Dames pay the ultimate price? That's 2-1 now to the Blackbirds. And the final nail in the coffin came in the 89th minute. Again, Dames failed to clear their lines effectively. Rivaldo Messiah drills this one into the bottom right corner. UWI take the 3-1 victory.
And that's our time for this edition of CBC NewsNight. I'm Shane Seeley. Good night. Thanks for visiting us. Now, if you want to see more stories like this one, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And you can always go to cbc.bb for the latest news and current affairs.